Hello, everyone, and welcome to Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories. We have an update on the Taylor Swift cancellation of 3 of her concerts. There was 3 venues that were supposed to happen in Australia, and the police did foil this alleged terrorist or this terrorist attack that potentially was going to happen. Austrian investigators unearthed chemicals at the house of the main suspect. Police early announced that suspects had taken concrete preparatory measures for a terrorist attack. Explosive devices and detonators were found at the home of the 19-year-old, as well as extensive ISIS propaganda material, 21,000 euros in counterfeit money, machetes, knives, and anabolic steroids. In a post on X, Austrian Chancellor Karl Nehammer called the cancellation a bitter disappointment for all fans in Austria, but said a tragedy had been prevented. We live in a time in which violent means are being used to attack our Western way of life, he said. Islamist terrorists threaten security and freedom in many Western countries. This is precisely why we will not give up our values such as freedom and democracy, but will defend them even more vehemently. So this terrorist attack, or this potential terrorist attack, potentially prevented many, many deaths, because it was not just in the planning stages, but concrete measures, as you heard, had been, developed by these terrorists and were acted upon by these 3 would-be terrorists and thwarted by authorities before they could carry it out. So, folks, hold on to your hats. You're about to enter true crime from a police perspective. You're about to enter the off-the-cuff zone, the police off-the-cuff zone. There has to be some common sense.
Yes, sir. They have the car stopped at 10th and Ranch Microbizer.
We still don't know who pulled the trigger. You know, folks, preventing this tremendous tragedy, it also gives us a window into the future of how we're going to have to increase security levels at concert venues. And a concert venue is considered to be a soft target, and it's attractive to terrorists because there's hundreds of thousands of people potentially there. And in the case of Taylor Swift, there's an additional 40 or 50,000 outside the stadium. So that is what makes it an attractive target for a would-be terrorist. Let's play some of CNN's report on this.
Concerts in Vienna, Austria have been canceled after Austrian authorities arrested 2 suspects who they say had plans to carry out a terrorist attack at the concert site. That's according to the promoter for the show. So let's bring in CNN security correspondent, former FBI counterterrorism agent Josh Campbell, as well as CNN senior national security analyst Julia Kayam. Josh, what do we know about these 2 suspects who were arrested, and what kind of attack they were allegedly planning?
Yeah, Jake, so this reporting comes from our colleague Zahid Mahmood in London. Essentially what police are saying is that these 2 individuals were arrested in connection with an alleged terror plot. Singer Taylor Swift obviously has her large-scale touring events that were scheduled to take place. 3 of those concerts have been canceled due to this potential threat. What we're learning from authorities is that one of these suspects is a 19-year-old man that authorities believe was radicalized online and it pledged some type of allegiance to the so-called Islamic State. And of course, all of us who've covered these terrorism cases over the last, decade, 2 decades know that this is the playbook that these terror groups often go to, is trying to find people online. It's much more difficult, much more risky for them to gather operatives to send places, a lot easier for them to try to use the internet to try to radicalize people. It looks as though, at least according to police, that is what is happening here. And finally, as we look at a concert venue, obviously that has itself a potential symbolic type of attribute to what we've seen in the past, that there have been large-scale concerts in Europe that were attacked. It was obviously back in May of 2017, a bombing at a concert where singer Ariana Grande was performing. Obviously, in 2015 in Paris, there were a number of events there, including the stadium that was attacked as well. And so anytime you have people that are gathering in these large-scale venues, that could be a potential terrorist threat. And then finally, it's worth noting that we've seen at many concerts, including with Taylor Swift, that you can actually protect the inside. You can send people through metal detectors and the like, but these concerts often have large gatherings outside as well.
So that's a big concern now, because obviously the security is designed to protect the people inside. But how about in the case of Taylor Swift, who has 40, 50,000 fans outside these venues? How are we going to protect them from a potential terrorist attack? And that's something that has to be considered. And that is something that, up until now, as again, concerts and concert halls are considered to be a soft target. So this must be all considered in the future, especially in venues where hundreds of thousands of people can show up. Very, very concerning.
And we are starting with that news out of Vienna, where officials say they are canceling multiple Taylor Swift shows, part of her Eras tour, out of safety concerns. This is after police there say they uncovered what they describe as an ISIS-linked terror plot, arresting 2 men connected to this and potentially narrowly avoiding a horrific nightmare. I want to show you here. This is what Swift's website looks like right now here. Under each of the concert dates, it says that all tickets will be automatically refunded within the next 10 days. The shows were supposed to start tomorrow night and go into the weekend. It's important to note here, this attack was not directly targeting Swift herself, but apparently, according to officials, it did hone in on her concerts. Federal and state police in Austria say it was part of a plan to attack major events across Vienna. They say the men they arrested were apparently radicalized through the internet. Tom Winter is all over this developing story for us tonight. So bring us up to speed, Tom. What do we know and where does this go?
Sure, Hallie. So right now, authorities in Austria, according to 2 U.S. officials briefed on the investigation, say that they are looking for one or perhaps multiple individuals who may have had some knowledge of this attack. And so that's new. And as we heard from those Austrian police officials earlier today, this is an active and ongoing investigation to let people know how all this came about. The Austrians put these individuals under some form of surveillance. They were on top of what they were plotting. And one of the individuals, the 19-year-old who was arrested in Lower Austria, was in the process of purchasing chemicals and had purchased some chemicals that could have been used to develop a bomb.
So all of these things we have seen before, obviously, and that wasn't the only thing that they were threatening. They were also threatening to drive a car on the outside and mow people down with the car, and then knives and stab people. So a horrific plan. And thank God that the Austrian police were able to thwart this attack before it occurred, because there could have been many, many, many people dead in this attack. And diligence. If you see something, say something, the rallying cry after 9/11. This is NBC News, what they saw upon this story.
In the investigation, after an alleged terror plot against Taylor Swift's massive tour was foiled. The music superstar forced to cancel 3 shows in Vienna, Austria, as she wraps up her European leg of the record-breaking Eras tour. Authorities arresting 2 male suspects who were planning attacks on major events in Vienna, including Swift's concerts. One of them, a 19-year-old Austrian, authorities say pledged his allegiance to ISIS. The other is 17 years old. The duo was radicalized online and had specific plans to carry out an attack, adding at least one had chemical substances, but not all of the components needed to make a bomb.
So even if it was a smaller attack, I think her name was what they were after.
According to Swift's website, fans will be...
I think what they were after is a large crowd, and to be able to make a splash and to get all of this worldwide publicity. So, folks, that's an update. All 3 of Taylor Swift's concerts were canceled in Vienna, and at least 2, possibly 3 alleged terrorists are under arrest. This is Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories. Thank you for tuning in.
soul just ain't enough.